Ministers who remain in President Zuma's cabinet to come clean on their links with the Guptas. Well, there's been so many claims from numerous top position changes, exorbitant payout requests, bailouts and blackouts. South Africa's only power utility is under a different spotlight. This week, the inquiry into Eskom heard damning claims from the former legal head Suzanne Daniels, as well as the Deputy Public Enterprises Minister Ben Martins. She said did indeed meet the Gupta brothers more than once. According to Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Des van Rooyen, there are about 48 municipalities that owe Eskom billions of rand, many of whom cannot afford their debt. And to top all of this, a coal strike is looming. So where do we begin if we look at Eskom? Joining us is a commentator on Eskom from EE Publishers, Chris Yellend. Thank you for being with us, Chris.
Pleasure.
So first let's start with blackouts that were a thing of the past until you go to Hyde Park in the northern suburbs of Joburg last night. What do you think about that?
Well, the first thing I hear talk about that it's something to do with Eskom, but Hyde Park is supplied by City Power, not Eskom.
They passed it on to City Power.
But it's very unusual that just one mall should lose its power and no generators kick in, and none of the surrounding businesses or hotels or other activities, houses around there, they didn't have power failures. So it is a very striking coincidence that I can't explain.
So Hyde Park, I think, saying they're investigating why the generators didn't come on during the launch of Jacques Pauw's book.
And of course, Melrose Arch and Hyde Park, these are very affluent suburbs.
Exactly.
And who knows what goes on there.
All right, so let's look at Eskom, what was going on before the parliamentary inquiry. Eskom was basically at the heart of the state capture claims. In her report, the former public protector spoke about Brian Molefe as CEO being close to the Gupta family. Then we heard that Eskom paid in advance for coal, basically to allow the Guptas to buy the coal company in the first place, or Optimum Coal Mine. Do you think that's a fair assessment of where we were? What were the other claims against Eskom?
Look, the shenanigans around Eskom are too complex and many to go into in a lot of detail tonight.
Like a web, yeah.
But I think in big picture to say that there are really serious and deep concerns about governance at Eskom. So deep, in fact, that the lenders are balking about rolling over loans. Eskom is having difficulty in issuing bonds and raising capital in the bond markets. They're having difficulty through the private banks in South Africa. And even the development financial institutions are raising concerns, and this is impacting Eskom very seriously in its liquidity. And we are likely to see they're experiencing liquidity issues right now, and up to January, February next year, these liquidity problems are going to become very, very serious indeed. And I'm sure that is what the Minister of Finance was referring to when he said that Eskom, in fact, is the biggest threat to the South African economy and budget.
What does it mean for South Africa if Eskom really gets into a crunch?
Well, it means that the shareholder has to step in and make an equity injection, in other words, a cash bailout, and we know that the state has had to do similar things for South African Airways and other state-owned enterprises, and itself is under financial pressure. But more importantly is the immediate threat that would be faced to South Africa's financial reputation, its credit rating. It really will impact South Africa severely. And in the middle of this, we have the nuclear debate. And I can say this for sure.
And Eskom's meant to lead that whole project.
That's right. With no liquidity. The point is that I think if South Africa announces its intention, as it seems like Minister Maghlaba has been sort of indicating, we are going to be punished very severely by the ratings agencies and by the lenders to South Africa and of course to Eskom itself.
No danger about blackouts. I mean, Eskom is complaining about not too much demand, but too little demand these days.
At the moment, they're complaining that they have a surplus and that this is causing problems.
We must all use more electricity.
But there will also be problems perhaps looming if there's an extended coal strike. Eskom has got reasonable stockpiles at its power stations, but a few of the power stations have very low stockpiles right now. And those could come under threat if there was an extended strike. And then I think government might be rather happy, Eskom might be rather happy to have the renewables save the day again, as they did in the previous load shedding, where they really saved Eskom a lot of money in avoiding diesel expenditure. So it could be that if there was an extended strike, renewables come to the rescue again.
And many would say we should be leaning more to renewables than nuclear. That's something you can do piece by piece. But let's just look at the big picture again. Another person has been suspended, Mr. Masongo. Do you know much about him? Or this almost feels like a corruption purge, something like we see in China in Eskom. But some of the people being suspended are the ones going to Parliament making serious claims, and it looks like they may be targeted. Just give us an explanation.
Yeah, this madness at Eskom just seems to go on and on. Today we've seen the suspension of Abraham Mashlanga. He has been a project leader at Kusile Power Station, the project there. He was promoted and he became the head of capital projects at Eskom, under which all Eskom's new build falls. And he has since was moved to Rotec for a while, then back to Eskom in the capacity in the CEO's office, and now he's suspended. And the reality is, or the talk is, that this has got a lot to do with the disciplinary hearing of Mr. Coco, because Mr. Coco and Abraham are at war, and it seems.
And Mr. Coco himself is suspended, and
he is suspended, but there is a war going on. Sure. And in the middle of this disciplinary hearing of Mr. Coco, it's seen as a fight back against the people or against the person that got him suspended, Mr. Coco suspended. And it's almost like a turf war within Eskom, where with dog eat dog. We don't know who the good guys or the bad guys are, and maybe there are no good guys or no bad guys, but there is a war going on.
I think that's a nice summary. We just don't know who's the good guys, who are the bad guys right now. That was commentator on Eskom from EE Publishers, Chris Yellend.
Thanks, Francis. Now,